To really communicate with color, it's important to me to understand how artists working outside my field of illustration get the job done. Here are the lessons I've learned from a graphic designer, photographer, and film production designer. Paul Bacon used color to communicate mood. Graphic designer Paul Bacon was a big fan of jazz and built his career around his love of music. He created iconic album art for Blue Note Records and other jazz-focused imprints. As a kid, I'd see his work constantly pop up in my dad's old record collection, and I'd run into it browsing through record stores. For a whole generation, Paul Bacon's color palette of pale hues and cool colors became the visual representation of the invisible sounds of musicians like John Lee Hooker, Abbey Lincoln, and Thelonious Monk. Paul Bacon showed me at a very young age to look beyond the happy colors of my Eric Carle books and see colors that stood for darker and complex moods. Vivian Maier used color to communicate story. For nearly 60 years, Vivian Maier quietly walked around the streets of Chicago with her camera, snapping color photographs. She used color to create vivid little poems. She was particularly drawn to yellow in the way it evoked a story. Three strangers with the same sense of fashion. A street peddler who finds himself staged by a backdrop of mustard curtains. A discarded bouquet slumped like a drunk against a lamppost. A one-eyed beetle in the early winter. A field of spring petals catching the eye of a mysterious artist. I don't spend a lot of time looking at photography, but when I see something I like, I feel an instant connection. Vivian Maier tells the kinds of stories I connect with, and her use of color will always have a special place in my heart. Jess Gauncher uses color to communicate theme. Gauncher's role in the movie industry is not as celebrated as that of an actor or director. His job is to design a world for a character to exist in. Not only that, but to make sure when a character isn't talking, the world around them is communicating the story and theme of the film. Right now, you're looking at the final footage from the 2007 film No Country for Old Men. This movie won Gauncher an Academy Award, and here's the story that got him to the stage. When he was put in charge of production design for the film adaptation of author Cormac McCarthy's modern Western, Gauncher had to find a way to visually express the dark tone of McCarthy's writing style. No Country for Old Men is set in 1980s Texas along the U.S.-Mexico border. Gauncher had to design a color palette that conveyed the harshness, the heat, and the thirst of the open desert, as well as frame the setting as a place at the edge of civilization. His solution was kind of brilliant. And like all brilliant ideas, the resolution was strikingly simple. Gauncher made a small painting in the style of expressionist painter Mark Rothko. A few shades of brown, a shade of rust, a shade of concrete, and a splatter of blood. This painting established the theme and set a tone for the actors and directors to follow. Now try to watch this movie and not feel this painting's influence on every frame. Jess Gauncher, Vivian Maier, and Paul Bacon are only a few of the artists that make me feel like it's possible to do something new and exciting with color. Take some time to look at your inspirations and try to see what impressions they've left on your own creative process.